Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, Pedro. Hello, Erika. Have Darja, Jeremy, Raji,
Hello.
Fred. Hello.
Hello.
How are you all today?
Great.
Great. Awesome.
Good.
Okay,
Very
thank
good.
you.
Awesome. So the energy is great and it's going to be very important for today's session because we're going to address a challenge today using an SI tool. So we are going to jump in maybe just 1 minute so we can have more people coming. But in the meantime, I would like to know where are you joining us from? So if you would like to use the chat, just let us know where you are in the world while you wait for some other people. USA, London, awesome. California, Netherlands, Canada. Some people it's early morning, right? So very good that you're here with us. South Africa, cold and windy London. That's the best place to be. Great. So we can start our session. We can jump right in. I will share the mirror board link with you so we can get started. I'll put here in the chat. Here. So join me in today's session and I will share my screen so you can all see. 1 second. I think we're all good. No, you can't see my screen yet, I believe. There we go. Can you see that? Yes? Great. Awesome. So thank you everyone for being here. This is a Challenge on Systems Innovation session. My name is Yasmin and I'm going to co-host and facilitate this session with Josh Colchester that is here as well with us and on behalf of the SI London Hub. So if you have any questions or any comments, please use the chat to address them. This is going to be a 60-minute session and it's being recorded and you can find the recording afterwards on the London Hub YouTube channel. Okay. This is the 4th session of the Systems Innovation Learning Series. And for the ones who don't know what the learning series is, this is a 5-month learning experience we are organizing at the London Hub. So here you have the article to read further if you're interested in understanding the whole structure of this series. Okay. And as I said, this is the 4th section here on the first module on systems innovation. We're going to talk about challenge and how we can use an SI canvas to make sense of a wicked challenge that we have today. All right, so for today's session, we are going to have roughly 10 minutes for the introduction and the challenge explanation. And of course, if you want to address any questions or comments, then we're going to breakout rooms for 35 minutes, where you're going to use the canvas to make sense of the challenge that we have today. And afterwards, we're going to come back to the main room so we can share some insights you got from the breakout rooms and then discuss it further before we go to the next steps. All right. So any questions so far? Maybe it's too early for questions, I guess. But is there anything on the chat? Joss?
Nope, let's take it on.
Great, awesome. So I will share the challenge that we have today. So this is an overview of this fictional European city that we have here today. And this city has a lot of problems, right? And here on this next slide, I've put some of the characteristics of the city. And the red ones are the characteristics that, let's say, are not are detrimental to the well-being of the people that are living in the city and the city itself. And the green ones are the potentials that the city holds and that are underlying the city challenge, right? So when you go to the breakout rooms, you can read it further and discuss with your peers a bit more about the characteristics of the city to make sense of what's going on here. So for example, public transportation that is not efficient, and that's a bit of a problem. But here we have people that like to be outside and like to be in green areas as well. So how can we make sense of this city in order to make it better for the people that are living there, right? Here I've highlighted in this next slide the actors that you could consider when addressing this challenge. So, for example, teachers, minorities, families, mayor, bus drivers, people that you could think about and can discuss with your peers how they can be part of the transition, right, of this city to a better better city overall, right? So here we have the actors, and here we have the tool that we're going to use. So this is a 4-part tool. Here we have the ideating part, or reframing, let's say. How can we see this challenge as a systemic one? Here we have the mapping and how we can understand what are the points in the city that we can leverage to understand better transition. Here we have the changing, which is how we can bring all these people together to start this transition in the city. And lastly, the building part, or how can we use all these ideas that we've gathered so far to plan and to build a better platform for all these actors to co-create in this new ecosystem, right? So this is roughly the ideas that we have here. And in each one of these breakout rooms, we have questions. So you can go about and trying to see how you can reframe and map and connect and build a better ecosystem for the city. All right. So in each one of these, you have questions, so you can discuss with your peers the best way to transition maybe to a new type of city. All right. Do you have any questions? You can unmute yourself or put on the chat if it's not that clear, and I'm happy to explain that again. Let's see on the chat. Anything?
No, sounds like it's clear.
Awesome. Great. So if you have any questions during the session as well, there's a a button that you can press so you can call us, and we're happy to help you out. All right, I will create the breakout rooms now. Maybe 3 breakout rooms, let's say. 4. So for each breakout room, you have the number, and then they are correspondent to the number on the board. All right. So if you are in the breakout room 1, you go to the board 1, and so on. I will create 3 breakout rooms now. And off we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the main room. Hope you had a good session, and I'm happy to hear what happened during this 35 minutes. So we can start with group 1. I will share my screen so everyone can see what's going on. But then group 1, the 3 main takeaways from this session. Who's the representative?
That's going to be me. Sorry. Yeah, if you could zoom in on here. One of the things that we were looking at as we're taking a look at this is kind of first off separating, and affinitizing the problem set. So you've got one, which is utilization of green spaces, let's just say demographic integration and utilization. Oh, can you pop out to the green? Yeah, that right there, right where we're looking at there. Perfect. Demographic integration, utilization is a big one. So what we have here is we've kind of got the problem statement full of green spaces, we're not utilizing them. And then we have 4 enablers, things that we can use, leverage immediately to get more people out there. People like to be outside. There's a local market. We had a little discussion. I'm just kind of assuming we can tweak this into like a US type farmers market sort of thing to get people engaged. We also talked about using things like more of the ethnic markets to kind of draw in different people to kind of bridge those gaps. Because if everyone, probably the locals, know themselves, how do you get the migrants to feel welcome? Then there's already a local gym looking to leverage it. That would just be figuring out where, when, how that would work out best, deconflict it. And then there's some composting that's being done. Maybe you could leverage that into a public garden so you can utilize your space better and bring in more locals. So that was just kind of an idea, one clustering. If you move to the right, we have the other kind of bigger problem set, starting with pollution. We looked at this from the perspective of you've got an accessibility mobility module, and then you've got just a general public transportation model. And the reason we kind of bifurcated these a little bit isn't because they're completely separate, but because instead of trying to boil the ocean, if we had given limited resources, limited budget, we didn't want to try to connect everything together always. So we figured we could address public transportation, as an initiative. We figured we could address accessibility, mobility as an initiative, and then for pollution, and then we could, if we have the time and the opportunity, we can address that demographic integration and utilization as we went down. So this was just kind of, we thought these logically flowed and then naturally manifest good stakeholder clusters. So you're not trying to tag everybody in on everything.
Good. Yeah, and I think that's a very good point there, right? That we don't have a limited amount of resources and people and time and money. So in order to make a more efficient clustering down and trying to make sure that we do what we're capable of with the things that we have, it's important to at least kickstart the project, right? And start the understanding of this challenge. So I would add one more on here, and this is just my personal perspective on this as well, because given especially like in the US, my experience is all the conflagration about politics. One of the thoughts in my head as I was doing this is to depoliticize this, where it's not, you're not trying to force what could be hot button issues about, great, we get an achievement of lower pollution. How? Well, we make sure that people can actually assess things. We make public transportation efficient. Both of those are really going to help with that. And a lot of people can get behind those two initiatives. And the same with green space utilization. It's the priority of utilizing it, and then how you utilize it can then subsequently achieve additional goals versus, and again, depoliticize because very few people are going to complain about utilizing green spaces. But they could get, they're upset about other aspects. That's just another thought I had when I was conceptualizing this. Great, awesome. Thank you very much, Michael. And thank you, Group 1, for the work. We have Group 2 now. So main takeaways here. Oh, Darja, you are on mute.
Okay.
Yes.
We started to reflect upon different problems, challenges that have to be addressed in a systemic way, and how to build on all these potentials that were presented to us. And we discovered that there are other groups of citizens, locals, and also the people groups that don't live in the city, commute to city to work, or local farmers that have to be included in our project as well. And we saw, in addition to the actors that were named from the beginning, we saw a lot of potential in local or regional NGOs that can be very instrumental in organizing activities that can bring different groups together. This we found very important. Of course, activities that are somehow organized in green spaces as well. We also concentrated on this issue of bicycles that are not used enough. So we can look at this issue from different perspectives. So cooperation can encourage use of bicycle and also public transportation for commuters. For example, we have to provide parking spaces outside the city for those who are commuting to work and in the city, and then bicycles that can be provided by the municipality for a very low price. so cheap access to public bicycles. And there can be some incentives for buying e-bikes and e-cars on the level of municipality, or can also local government can also organize assistance for citizens to acquire, let's say, state subsidies or something like that. And this can be connected with renewable energy that can be used for transportation, for heating, for houses, and so on.
Awesome.
And there is also one idea, since there is only one school in this town, the municipality could establish green school as a pilot school and try to provide to get some subsidies from the state for this kind of school.
Great. So I think in general you touched more on the green let's say energy issue here, right? And in the end you had that
the part of the yes. But also gardening, community gardening, veterinary clinic for companion as assistant animals for blind people, for example. So we tried to suggest several solutions, yes, but I don't know, bicycles were on the top.
Good. Yeah, in the same way, focusing on what you can do, right? And focusing on things that you think are more relevant for you to start with in the context of your room here, of your breakout room, and the people that you have inside, right? And their expertise and things like that. So yes, thank you very much, Darja. And thank you, Group 2. And now we can move to Group 3.
Hi, Elrika here from Group 3. So we actually approached the situation from a more broader, bigger picture perspective. The 3 key takeaways that we thought of, well, the first one is about understanding the needs and perspectives of all the actors involved, and that's why it's really important to map them out. And this ensures that the process is going to be as participatory as possible, and to ensure that not one actor or the privileged actors actually dominate the conversation. And this is especially important when you're considering city planning, and often at times the richer residents can dominate. So it's about this idea of equity when it comes to voicing your perspective. Touching upon the idea of mapping, this helps to identify the targeted interventions to maximize the positive impact as much as possible. And Sneha had a very good point in our group about asking ourselves, what is the value that each stakeholder can bring to the table, which links very well to the concept of asset-based community development. So seeing all stakeholders as assets and not just as receivers or using funds, actually contributing something of value, which may not necessarily be financial. And in terms of our third point, which is something that Brad brought up in our group, which I thought was an excellent point, this idea of it's actually good to celebrate the quiet voices in the room. And I've sort of expanded on that point by this idea of even recognizing the silent voices. So yes, there are excluded groups when you consider a city, but also when you're thinking about city development, there are also people who are not born yet, but will also obviously be living in the city. So you also need to consider the impacts on the system as is, right here and right now, and take into account that diversity of groups as it is, but also think about how your interventions are going to impact the people who are not here yet, but also are a crucial stakeholder. So when you're considering city development, it's about sustainability, being inclusive, but also being resilient for the future city tomorrow.
Great, well done. Yeah, and this part of the diversity, using that as a positive resource, right, rather than working against it. And yeah, trying to create a homogeneous completely space is not going to be fruitful for these minorities and for these for the diversity of the space, right? Well done. Great. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Erika, Group 3, and everyone. I think it was very, very good. I'm going to think a lot about these things that you put here for the next ones and to make better challenges for the next sessions. Okay. So here we came to the end of our challenge session. And the next one on this series is going to be the introduction to systems thinking, theoretical understanding of this idea that we're going to have on March 15 at 5 p.m. UK. All right. And here you have the link to access that. And as always, we have our social media. You can follow us, and we're going to put the recording on YouTube so you can access here tomorrow. All right. And lastly, we appreciate if you give us some feedback on how this session went. What do you think we can improve? And if you think it's helpful, this session and the other ones that we do. Okay. So thank you very much, everyone, for participating. Well done for your work. And we'll see each other on the next one. Take care. Have a good evening.
Okay. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Jasmine again.
Bye. Thank you so much.